Hello, welcome to the podcast. It's Sarah here. Today I have a very special guest who I am so excited to share with you, my good friend Haley Henderson. Haley, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, Sarah, I'm so excited to be on here today with you. So, yes, I'm Haley Henderson, and I am a virtual assistant and online business coach. So, I teach women how to become wealthy girls. That's really what I do. And it's through virtual assistant and then kind of going beyond that and building a life first business is really the encompass of what I do.
Oh, Haley, that's amazing. Sorry, I've had this cold. Haley, can you explain what you mean by
Yeah.
life first business?
So I think a lot of people think that they have to build businesses to build like their dream life, like maybe go on extravagant vacations, hit a certain number, whatever it is, revenue goal. But I always say your dream life should be your everyday life. So that's what I mean by a life first business, where it's giving you the freedom and choices, the freedom and flexibility, the freedom and time to wake up. And if your kids are sick that day, and not be a huge ordeal and you have to call into work, take time off, trying to take your like you have to take your PTO. Like you're building a business where if your kids get sick, that's okay. You don't have to work that day and you just roll with the punches. That's a life first business.
Mm. I love that so much. I love how much that sets you up to have a life of freedom now
Mhm.
rather than like, I think so much as entrepreneurs, we have this idea of like, I got to hunker down, give
Yeah,
everything I have to my business right now so that I can have freedom later. But you're saying you can
every day.
work towards something and have freedom now.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people view freedom differently. Like some people, yeah, maybe they view it of like traveling all over the world and doing this and that. But I just want to be able to say yes to things that I want to say yes to and pick up and go whenever I want. And for my kids to just like have this way of living that's not the traditional way of life, like there are other things that we can do in this world besides just what everybody else does.
Yeah.
We're just different. Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. Oh my gosh. Why is my voice doing this?
It's
So
because it's going to get real good.
it is. There's that. What is the opposition, the resistance?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So Haley, like you honor and value your family life so
Mhm.
much, which is something that I love about you as you're building your business. Like you really prioritize that and keep that as so much of like how you build your business is keeping your family in mind.
Mhm.
Can you tell me about like how you got started, like why you decided to become an entrepreneur?
Oh man. So I didn't, it kind of just happened. And I say that because all I wanted to do when as I was growing up, so my mom, let's go back just even to my family life. My mom loved working, and there's nothing wrong with that. But she wasn't always the one that was coming to plays. It would have to be the after school stuff that she could come to. And I always kind of envied when moms could be like the room moms and just come, just be available. And I never was like mad at her about it or anything, but I always wanted to be the mom that was available and could just go and do as I please, not ask for permission, not have to take time off. And honestly, I didn't know how I would ever do that. I thought I just would have to be a stay-at-home mom and that's it.
Mm,
But there was always this desire in me. My dad is an entrepreneur. He always has had side businesses. He never really went after his dreams. He just kind of did these side things, and I wish he would have. But he kind of gave me that push, and they tell us all the time you can do whatever you want. And I really took that to heart because I didn't want my girls to look at me and say, well, you told us we could do whatever you want, but you never went after your dreams. So when I met
hmm
my husband, I was working in nonprofit at a children's hospital. I was a fundraiser. While I loved my job, like I loved it so much, I could have done it for years and years and years in my 20s when I didn't have kids. But as soon as I met my husband and you're like the future flashes before your eyes, you're like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, this is the guy I'm gonna have babies with. I just was like, I need to prepare myself now because I don't want to be overwhelmed and in the trenches of motherhood trying to figure out how to be at home with them.
Yeah.
So I kind of made it my mission and COVID happened and it was like the perfect it was like God was like to a lot of people, this is your time to figure it out, guys. Like we're all at
Yeah.
so I just decided one day to like I knew I could do the back end things for people. I had a health and life coaching business before and I quit my job at the hospital. I nannied in between and started that. And something just fell off, but I loved the back end systems of things. I liked building a business, but I didn't necessarily at that time wanted to be in the forefront and always be on social media, which is so funny because now I am. But but I think it was because there was an alignment there. But I knew I could do back end stuff. So I just like I don't even think I knew what a virtual assistant was. But I knew I could do things for people in the back end. So I just went on Upwork and I got my first gig. And she opened up, her name is Jillian. She was my first client ever. She was an anxiety coach. And she just opened up the realms for me. Like within the first month, I was able to quit my job and I like had I think 4 clients that all stemmed from her networking me. She was like, "This girl is amazing. You guys need her," because she was in a network. And so that
Yeah.
was like my step into entrepreneurship was like through the virtual assistant world. It's such a beautiful gateway into that. And then I began to like understand, okay, this is I could turn this into a business. Like this could be something bigger than I ever dreamed of. When I
Mhm.
thought I just wanted to be at home with my girls, turned into, oh, this is going to be something that fulfills me, that can change the trajectory of our life as a family. And so that's like the origin story of how I got started and never looked back. So
That's
happy that that
amazing.
day happened. Yeah.
I think it's so amazing that even though you didn't even know what a virtual assistant was, like you knew some skills that you had and you knew that you could make money from that.
Exactly. Exactly. And I
That's
hate
amazing.
even telling people, I think, marketing as a virtual assistant is really great, it's marketable, but that's the whole point is like you can make money doing anything.
Yeah.
I was watching YouTube the other day with my daughter, which we don't really like her to watch YouTube, but there was this balloon maker on there. She does YouTube videos and she makes balloons of all these characters. And I was mesmerized, but I was like, literally anyone can make so much money from skills that they have in their gifts. I was like, this is exactly what I'm talking about here. It
That's
was
such great
beautiful.
evidence for
It
it. You're
is.
like, look at this person makes like
I know.
balloon animals and characters and
Yes. And I sat there and watched her for an hour and I was trying to like watch more and more and more. I'm like, I would pay to watch, I would go to an event to watch her just do this. Like for it's so entertaining.
I love that so much. It's true though.
It is.
That's one of the things that I love about the world that has happened is that so many people can just
Mm.
like Lindsay Sterling. Do you know who Lindsay Sterling is?
I've heard that name, I
Like
think.
she plays the violin and she dances.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
Is she
And
on TikTok?
um
E?
she is like YouTube is her big
Okay.
thing,
Okay.
but she
Okay.
also has like accounts, I'm sure, on all the other
On all of
platforms.
them.
But like she was told there's no way people are going to want to pay you to do this. Like you play the
She
violin and you
showed
dance
out and
around. And
showed up.
she has like her career
Wow.
is so big and she goes on
Wow.
tour and like it all just started because she was like, well, this is what I like. And
Like,
so
it's
I'm
what
gonna do
I love.
it.
Yes, yes. I think too many people are miserable at what they're doing, and your
Yeah.
priorities change. As you grow a family, you evolve, you outgrow jobs, and instead of staying stuck and just like maybe getting a bump and increase and then a whole another year passes, why not take the time to figure out what you love to do and skills that apply and just go for it. That's
Yeah.
all I want women to do in this life is just to do it. You know?
Yeah. And you're so good about getting people moving, I feel like,
Mhm.
towards
Yeah,
that.
thank you.
And
Yeah. I think, what was Crystal's word? Pathfinder for me. I think
mhm.
that her word? Yeah, so I love that. Movement, pathfinder. Yeah.
Yeah. So how did it evolve from you being
Mm.
a virtual assistant to you being like, hey, I'm going to teach other people how to become virtual assistants, how to build businesses online? Like, how did that happen for you?
So I didn't tell anyone what I was doing for a while, not because I was like ashamed of it, but like I just did it. It was like another job, right? I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm doing this, like I'm staying at home, like this is just how I'm making some income. And so no one really asked me either until I think I had a friend who, yeah, she asked me, "Hey, do you sell anything?" Or because if you ask any mom, they're doing something outside of their job to make money or to just to like have a hobby to pay for clothes. Like they're doing something, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, "No, I actually am in a virtual assistant." She's like, "Wait, what does that mean?" And so she started like asking me about it, and then she was like, "Can you teach me how to do it?" And I was like, sure, like, absolutely, and so I taught her how to do it, she became a VA, and then other moms kept asking me how they could apply it to themselves, and it just like, I was like,
Yeah.
"I need to monetize this, like, how do I monetize this?" And then I just did. I made a starter kit and just kind of started from there, and then I was like, "I wanna coach," so I started actually coaching,
Hmm.
so yeah, it really was just the demand of it, and
Yeah.
I was like, "Well, let's just roll with the punches." Like, God's just like, "Ding, ding, ding. Let's do this." So I just, like, took the carrot and ran.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
That's really amazing. Um, it tells a lot about your character though, that you are willing to pay attention to like
Mm,
what could do well, and you also like you pay attention to what the next like a next step could be
yeah.
in building this life that you love, and then
Mhm.
you do it.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important to, like, make things that people want to buy
Yeah.
too, you know what I mean? Not just,
Mhm.
like, random things like I was like, this is a demand. People want to do this. More moms want to be at home and make money, provide for their families, work from home. I think, and for me, a lot of it was I became a stay at home mom and I was like, I can't fully do this. Like, I desire to use my brain in a different way, not just be with my
Mhm.
kids all day. And I think it's okay if people just want to be a stay-at-home mom or people
For
who
sure.
just want to be career driven. But I knew that there was like a middle ground and like you can create your own choice, like your own type of way of living that fully embraces how you want to live your life and create
Yeah.
a business around that. And for the longest time, Sarah, I felt so guilty about wanting to work.
Yeah.
Like, it was
Amen.
so hard, and I think a lot of moms feel that way, they just don't wanna say it, and they don't
Hmm.
tell their husbands, like, "I actually just wanna do something else with my time, not just change diapers, take kids to school, do afternoon pickups." Like, I want some in between. I had
Hmm.
a mom a couple weeks ago, she said, "I just wanna start I wanna get into the VA world because, like, I just want something to do. I'm bored now." Like, her kids are fully in school.
Yep.
I still want the availability and to be, like, with my kids and say, "Yes," do all the things. I don't want time constraints, but I just wanna do something. I wanna feel useful, use my brain, and so we got her a VA job, and she's like, "Thank you so much." Like, I
Yeah.
feel like I'm using myself again, like I'm not just sitting around the house. Not that she was doing that, but she just was bored and she wanted to not be
Hmm.
bored anymore, which I
Hmm.
think is fine. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm.
I relate so much to that because
Mm,
like my kids are older than you, so it's been like
yeah.
a longer journey for me, but like I also felt that there was just those two options, like
Mhm.
work all the time or be at home with your kids all the time. And the way that I was raised was like very, like motherhood was so important, which it is. Like
Yeah.
and then I had to deal with that being like, well, I want more. Like, is that
Yeah,
okay
I
for
love one.
me?
Mhm.
And now, especially with my kids, like they're gone all day at school. And I'm so glad that I have something else that is
Mhm.
fulfilling
Yeah.
that I enjoy doing. And I think entrepreneurship is literally the best
Mhm.
when you're like, I want that freedom because I want to be able to be there for my kids.
Mhm.
But like
Mhm.
you said, like if one of them gets sick, it's not, you don't have to ask anybody for permission to
Exactly.
take
No
care of
one.
it.
I mean, my husband finally took time off during the holidays. I mean, from like the 16th till I think he went back on the 3rd. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do the same thing. And it felt so nice just to be a unit as a family and our income to not, I mean, I was still like increasing my income when you set up a business that works for you, then it makes sense and you don't have to ask that permission. Like if I were working at the nonprofit that I was working at and taking 2 weeks off, especially during the holidays, because that's a
Mm,
big giving season, they'd be like, no. Maybe like
right?
2 days, but just not even having to ask for permission, waking up and not feeling like tugged between work and family. Like
Mm,
it's beautiful. Really is a beautiful way to live.
yeah. And that's
Mhm.
amazing. I didn't know that your husband had also been able to take off the time. So it was
Mhm.
really just like you guys hunkered down and got to be
Mhm.
together as a family
We
for
did.
all of that time. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was incredible. It was incredible.
Yeah.
And he works from home too, so we have a good flow. But I couldn't imagine my life any other way. I couldn't. I don't know how people
Mm.
do it.
Yeah. It's a good life. It's a good
Yeah,
life
it's a good
for
life.
sure that you have built. You
Yeah.
talk a lot about wealth
Mm.
and being wealthy and what that means. Can you talk a little bit about that on here?
Yes. So I think for the longest time, I thought wealth just equated to money. Like
Mm,
wealth was just, okay, $1 million. Wealth was, well, I can buy this Chanel purse. I can do this. I can do that.
yeah.
But wealth is so much more than that. And I think people need to understand they can be wealthy before the money comes. I think
Mhm.
money is a byproduct of wealth, but being wealthy means you are making an impact. You have freedom in choices and flexibility in that time that we talk about. And then the money comes and you're able to impact others even more and serve your community even more. God really tells us like I truly think that God wants us to be rich and not necessarily rich in money, but rich in resources so that we can provide for others and help others and make this like huge impact in the world. I don't care who you are and what you do, you want to make some type of impact, whether it's big or small, whether it's like, giving a homeless man like $10 to eat, or if you're wanting to just, I don't know, give $10,000 to a charity, it doesn't matter. But I think wealth helps you to make more impact in the world. And that's really how I view wealth is like I think about yesterday and I don't talk about these things to flaunt or to but I always wanted to make more money so that I can give and so that I can say yes to things and so that I can serve and show up in ways that I haven't been able to before. And yesterday we were sitting at church and our women's conference is coming up and I always serve there and I'm in charge of the giveaways this year. And I texted the leader of the women's conference and I said, hey, if there's anyone that really wants to come but can't afford it, please let me know. I would love to sponsor people. That is wealth to me. Like being
Mm,
able to
yes.
do things like that so that you
Yeah.
can impact other people's lives in ways that they don't even know. I don't want them to know that I'm anonymously giving, like, or that I'm giving. I want it to be anonymous, but I want my income to impact them in that way. And
Yeah.
that's wealth to me. I want my girls to I had to work really hard I grew up with, "It's too expensive. We can't do this, too expensive." When in reality, they could have used their money to build wealth. And I really want my girls to, like her mom and dad, like for them to look at us and see how we view money and how we use it to help others and serve others, serve our a family as well. But, not I don't want money to them to view money as like I can have it whenever I want, but I kind
Mhm.
of do. You know what I mean? I want it
Yeah.
to come easily to them
Yeah.
and for them to use it in ways that not only provide for them and their family and like generations to come, but they can just help their community and serve and show up and make big impact. Like that's really what wealth is to me, is that impact piece.
Wow. You're so wise, Haley. I'm just like sitting here nodding along. I'm like, yes, yes. Yeah, I love that. That wealth makes it possible for
It
you to
is.
have a greater impact.
It does. I mean, you think about all of the wealthy people of the world, the big names, the billionaires. I mean, granted, some of them I don't agree with what they do, but no one can make, I truly don't think, I mean, you can make small impacts, right? And
Yeah.
we have conversations with people, but if you truly want to use your money, you have to have money to make impact. Do you know what I mean? Do you understand what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure. For
So,
sure.
I think it gives you more opportunity to help people, to help yourself, just to live life easier, more
Yeah.
easily. Is that I don't know what's the
Yeah.
right way to say that. Um, but I don't know. I want to be the person that you like you don't know that I have all this money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want people to, I don't even know where I'm going. You might need to edit this out. It's challenging. But I don't like, I want to make a big impact behind the scenes. I don't want people to always know
Yeah,
that it's me. You know what I mean? And I
for
think
sure.
that's what's cool about building wealth, is just really being able to give to others. That like makes me so happy. Is just like, you know,
Uh-huh.
just give.
It's so fun.
It is.
So fun.
It feels good.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also like I grew up in this similar circumstances where we just didn't have a lot of money. My dad worked so hard and he was a high school teacher. And I'm
Yes.
the seventh kid in my family,
Oh yeah.
you know? And so like things were so tight when I was growing up until like I was the only kid at home. And, because there's a big gap between me and my youngest sibling, but like just hearing those messages and not being able to give and not being able to fully dream. Do you know what
Yes,
I
that's a good,
mean?
yes, fully dream. I
Yeah.
mean, because dreams come more quickly with money. I mean, they
Yeah.
do. You
Yeah.
know, it's yeah, to fully dream, that's a big one.
Hmm.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I look at my kids and I'm so glad that they're in this space of like they ask for things that I'm like, dude, that is actually a really big ask, but they don't realize that. Um,
Mm.
but it's been really interesting how like we're trying to navigate that where it's like,
Yeah.
okay, how do we teach them like to still dream in big ways, but also like not become entitled, you know? But
Yes, exactly.
like the thing is that they're going to get messages about money either way and about wealth either way. And I would much rather have them
Come
be
directly.
generous and be big dreamers and to want to impact others in a way that not everybody is able to.
Yeah, I love that, Sarah, because that I think of my oldest Ruthie, and I want her. It's just small things that I want her to do in life. Like, Christmas time, it was like giving her teachers like extra things, or making, cookies or whatever for her classes. And, just those small things that just make people smile is what
Hmm.
I want her to do. Like kindness goes such a long way. And I think impacting people just with those like small gestures is such a way to build wealth as well for yourself. Like I don't even know like if that makes sense, but
Hmm.
it's because when you start acting in these small gestures, then when money comes, you make bigger gestures.
Yeah.
So, if like one day Ruthie is, like even if she's in college and her roommate is like struggling with groceries, like I want her to have the resources to be like, I'll just cover them for you this week.
Yeah.
Like things like that. I want that to, not that I want her to go to college anytime soon, but
You're
like
so,
that,
so young.
I want our family just to be able to do that. And it's not, it's like a drop of the hat. It doesn't impact our finances is just because we can and we will. And I don't think it makes you I think a lot of people I knew growing up when people would do that for my family, my dad would like, oh, they think we're charity. But I'm just like,
Mm,
no, people just want to give because they love. And love is
yeah.
like it's such a sweet place to come from, you know? Like
Hmm.
let's just embrace it. People want to help people. They
Yeah,
truly
they do. And um, my husband's reading this book about manifesting.
mm,
And one of the really interesting things that he just shared with me is about like the ability to how important it is to have the ability to receive and
mm-hmm.
not necessarily be like, oh no, I have to give them something, like make things even where there's like keeping the score, but rather just like receiving others' generosity and being
Just let it
generous
be
yourself and it not being about tallying
that.
who's done what
Mhm.
and if you were even with everybody, right?
Yeah. It's not that's not the point of it, you know?
No.
And I used to feel that way too, though. Like I was like, "Oh, let me thank you for giving it to me. Let me, and now I'm like, if I'm out with my friends and I just will like cover, our dinner, they're like, "Oh, let me Venmo you." And I'm like, "No, don't worry about it. Just let it be a gift." But people
Mhm.
do feel like they have to like they're like, well, I'll get your next one. And I'm like, okay, if you want to, like I don't want people to
Yeah.
ever feel, but I will say I've always wanted to be that person that can just do that. And it
Yeah.
feels good. It feels good. Feels,
Yeah. It
yeah.
does. Yeah. So, like for you, wealth is about like abundance and
Mm-hmm.
generosity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Think abundance in every aspect of life
Hmm.
and and to provide abundance so other people can be abundant. You
Yeah.
know, I
Hmm.
think about my VA agency that I have. So many virtual assistant agencies, they charge like so say a client comes in, well, they're now going to charge that virtual assistant by the hour. So, say a client pays you $2,500 to be in the agency. You're now paying the virtual assistant that is doing the work like $18 an hour, $20 an hour. And I hated that model because the reason why I started my agency was because I wanted women to create businesses. So if a client comes in, it's like a 60-40 split, sometimes a 70-30, depending on like their experience and everything. But I was like, how can women build businesses with a $20 an hour job
Hmm.
and they don't even have the mental capacity to clock their hours. Like I know what it's
Yeah.
like to be a mom. Like how when I created my agency, I was like, it's not about the money. It's about the impact and the abundance that they're going to get from
Mm,
joining the agency, from getting clients through the agency. And
yeah.
so that's what I also think about with wealth. Like that's how I want to use my wealth. I don't want to be money driven to where I feel like I have to make all of this money, right, with the agency. I want it to impact people more than it
Hmm.
impacts me, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and people think I'm crazy doing it that way. They're like, "Oh, you could be making so much money." And I'm like, "That's not the point. That's not the point."
Yeah.
It
'Cause
isn't.
they know you. You like really want to take care of
Mm,
your
my
the people
girlies.
that work for you in your
Yeah.
agency and so that they can take care of their families, so they can take care of the clients they're serving.
Mhm.
And
And there's that
I
energetic exchange too, you know?
yeah,
What do you feel like when you charge more, you have to reach that level to which you charge,
yeah,
right? So that's
absolutely.
what I want them to like constantly be up leveling themselves. And like you can't do that on a $20 an hour.
No,
No,
no.
doesn't
Well,
happen.
and when you're exchanging that time for money, where's the incentive to get better at doing it faster,
Exactly,
right?
Sarah. Exactly.
And like having years of expertise like to bring along so that you can get something done quickly,
Yeah,
then you get less money. It
doesn't make sense.
literally makes no sense.
It makes no sense. I fully teach retainer fees. Like I'm like, we are not hourly working people anymore. We are retainer fees.
Ah,
'Cause I don't wanna trade my time for money, so why would I teach other people to trade their time for money? Doesn't make sense.
yeah. What
Yeah.
do you feel like how does that help you not exchanging time for money? How does that help feed into this wealth and abundance and generosity you feel?
I feel like when you are no longer trading your time for money, it's almost this like you're like free in time. So I I feel like I use my time more wisely because of it, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
I want to be better at what I'm doing because I have to reach that level to which I am charging. So,
Yes.
and whether that's, I feel like it gives you the resources and time to really get into personal development. Like it creates opportunities for your growth, for your
Mhm.
clients' growth, for learning, like all of that stuff. Like it really does create this momentum in you when you are making, more than you thought you could and no longer like clocking in and being like, "Oh, well, I made $400 this month." Like, "Oh my gosh, I made
Yeah.
$1,000 this month." Like, you know what I mean? Like it's
Mhm.
feel like it up levels you in a way that a lot of women are searching for. They don't know how to get out of that cycle, of having
Yeah.
low paying clients or not increasing their pricing or not even having offers or services that they love. But when they figure out how to no longer trade their time for money, the abundance starts coming in and they start valuing themselves more and their business more and actually creating a business. Um,
Mhm.
and I feel like it also builds upon like it creates abundance in everyday life, like in every aspect of your life, your marriage, your being a mom, being a business owner, like being a friend. Like I feel like it does create abundance in all those areas and you are able to show up better in those areas, which is wealth in my opinion, like having abundance
Yeah.
in all those areas. Um and I think I don't know why I've been thinking about this so much. Like, why do people, and I know it has to, like, with conditioning, like your family's messages, like how you grow up, but like, why are people so stuck on hourly? Like, it's
Mm.
really blown my mind, even like when I teach on it, and it's hard for even my students to grasp it sometimes. Like, what do you mean I don't charge hourly? What do you mean people can pay me this much? It's like, you were so worthy of it. It's gonna do so
Yeah.
much for you when you, like, kinda change your mindset of how, like, have to you don't have to put the value on your time anymore, like, you just do it.
Yeah.
Um, it's a hard concept for people to get past.
Oh, for sure. It's so ingrained.
It's so ingrained. I don't know why, though. Like, I don't know why. I've been trying to figure it out so I could
Yeah.
teach better on it or understand. I think because I'm far removed from it, that it's hard for me to go back there, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I
yeah.
feel it's so much based on that scarcity mindset though, like,
Yeah.
but businesses wanting to like squeeze as much as they can out of their employees. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Um, and so they're just like, well, you're probably not going to use your time well, so
Yeah.
I'm going to have to charge you for your time. Like, it's going to be an exchange of time rather than performance, rather than the value that they're bringing to the company, right? All of those things. It's such a different way
It
of
is.
of functioning, but also I feel who's Myron Golden? Did he talk
Yeah.
about this like when he spoke at Summit,
Mhm.
Sales Girl Summit? We were there in June. He talked
Mhm.
about how like wealthy people don't change exchange time for money,
Oh, yeah, they
and
don't.
that's why they have this more abundant mindset. Because if you're exchanging time
Uh,
for money, then like
mhm.
everything's expensive because you're paying for it with your life.
You're paying for it with your life. You've like a $50,000 car, you are comparing that to like, I'm giving up my life, like for the
Yeah.
year. Um, I love that you brought up Myron Golden, Sarah, because that moment that he was talking about that, because I was trying to come up with a name for my program that I launched.
Mhm.
And literally, I don't have that notebook with me. But when he was talking about that, I wrote down wealth. and I like circled it, circled it, circled it, circled it, and then I wrote skills next to it. I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is the name of my higher coaching program, Wealth Skills."
Yeah.
He fueled that in me. Um, and something that he also said that I always talk about is, a lot of women, especially when they get started in the VA world, they have like 1 to 2 clients, and a lot of the time they think that they go down the hourly, route, so they might have 4 clients and they're still making like $2,000 a month. And they work with me and they see like, no, we can do better than this and we
Yeah.
can charge more. But a lot of the time it has to do with what you feel on the inside. A lot of women don't feel worthy of money, or they, like we talked about, can't receive it.
Mhm.
And he said one time, and I tell them like, but they want to make more. They want to make 6 figures,
Yeah.
right? And I,
Yeah.
I tell them like, in order for you to make 6 figures, you have to think 6 figures is not a lot of money. And it's
Mm.
like their mind, it opens up so much for them. And I used to think that way too. Is like we give ourselves this like energetic minimum of like, okay, well, I want to make 6 figures. Well, what does even 6 figures mean to you, right? And
Right.
and so, but we think it's so like so out of reach.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so hard to come by, because it feels so out of reach. But when you can change the way that you view it and how it's like, oh, I can do that, like
Mhm.
that's nothing. And
Yeah.
that's only like I think Myron also talks about putting only in front of numbers
Only.
so
Mm.
that you
Yeah.
minimize it, and make
Yeah.
yourself bigger. It's a game changer. Like one of my students, Abigail, she talks about it all the time of when I first said that to her. She was like, that changed everything for me. Like
Oh.
and I was like, well, I can't take credit for it, but good old Myron Golden. But I think so many people like they box themselves in and they can't get past a certain um price point or wealth point, if you want to call it, because
Yeah.
they put themselves in a box. They think that they'll never get there, that things are too expensive, that, how can I up my prices? Like, who's going
Yeah.
to pay me for that? And I read in I don't want to say the title on the podcast,
Oh.
but the book by Amanda Francis, and she talks about how money doesn't have, what does she say? Money doesn't have thoughts or feelings. Like it
Yeah.
and goes based on you.
Yeah.
That was like kind of mind boggling for me. I was like,
Yeah.
ooh, okay.
Yeah. So, Haley, what do you do to
Mm.
expand your idea of what's possible and what you're worth?
I have to talk myself through it, and I have to journal things out. I mean, after I even read her book, I was like, wow, I didn't realize I still had money problems. Like I still had my issues around money and mindset and um blocks around being successful. And it really is intentionally taking the time to
Mm.
work through them and to understand where it comes from and to like rewire your brain and to start saying things to yourself. Like my husband, it was so funny, Sarah. So we put our kids to bed, and I was reading that book and I was just like talking out loud to myself. My husband comes in after taking a shower, and I was like saying, I think I was like, money comes easily to me. Let's just go after it. And he was like, huh? Like, what are you talking about? Who are you talking to? I'm like, oh, just giving myself a pep talk, you know? But it's those things that we have to do in order to get there. And I
Yeah.
think, I know you read constantly as well, is
Yep.
it is like fueling our brains with the things that we need it to be fueled with. Those
Yeah.
books, the good podcasts like yours, like, we have to constantly and intentionally live, so we're feeding ourselves things. I am reading more now than I watch TV, and I used to would go through all my Bravo shows a week, like, and I
Mm.
still love Bravo, but I'm in this point in my life where I need to feed my brain the things it needs to be fed. So it's not
Yeah.
lethargic, so it's creative, so it's inspired, and so that I can bring the wealth in,
Yeah. Absolutely.
really being intentional.
So intentional. Because, I mean, especially with the world that we live in, there's this constant barrage of things coming at you.
Constant.
And like to be intentional about what you're taking in makes
Mhm.
such a huge difference. And like, I don't know if you've noticed this for you, but for me, what I want has changed so much. Like how
Mhm.
I used to be like, "Oh, I love binging on that show." Whereas now I don't really like I'll watch an episode and I'm like, that's good.
Yeah.
Like I want something more for myself. And I
Mhm.
want something that I know is going to take me where I want to go rather than just being entertained all the time.
I like learning constantly. Like I just
Yeah.
want to learn, learn, learn,
Yeah.
and not fill my head with women gossiping at each other and like yelling. I'm like, what is this? How is this really serving my life?
Right?
It's just
Yeah.
entertaining. I mean, and don't get me wrong, I'm still watching Bravo every now and then, but it's like maybe once a week
Yeah.
versus like every night. I was like loving it,
Yeah.
binging it. But now I'm just like binging on my little Kindle before I go to bed, you know?
Yes. I love that.
Yeah.
How do you feel that personal development is tied
Mm.
to serving your clients well and growing your business?
I mean, you have to constantly want to grow
Yeah.
because if you, it's like I was thinking about this the other day actually. My our preacher was giving a sermon on Sunday, and I was like, I wonder what he like binges. You know, like
Mm,
what does he read? What is he? And I know he's constantly reading because he is so good at bringing in like evidence from things.
yeah.
Um, but I think about like if he wasn't into personal development, if he was never trying to grow the congregation, grow himself, we wouldn't like him as a preacher. Like he would be
Yeah.
stuck, stagnant. It wouldn't even be steady. Like he would start deterring people away, but it's constantly growing. He's constantly learning. His sermons are like incredible every single time. And so I think about things like that. If you are not trying to up level yourself, grow, have knowledge and build evidence around things that you talk about, then people are going to like not be attracted to you, I feel like. Or you're going to have like a maybe just a plateau in your business, or you're going to go up and down and wonder what's wrong. Like, I feel like personal development is so key to growth. So key. I like from me committing to the sales girls last year in
Hmm.
May, I had 186% growth in my business last year. And I know it has to
Amazing.
do with that and being in the mini mind with you guys. Like there's no way I would have had that much growth if I wouldn't have committed and invested in myself and my personal growth.
Yeah.
Because you're just in your head too much. You have to get out of your head, and other people help you get out of your head.
Oh,
Because
100%.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um it's you have to constantly be wanting to grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally agree. And I love that. And that's one of the things that like I admire about you is that you take the time to
Mhm.
grow and you also take the time to like listen
Yeah.
to your inner voice, to like promptings and um and take the action. Like you do all of those things so well, and I really admire that about you.
Thank you. I try not to sit too much on things because then I will spiral on, is this the right move? But I'm like,
Yeah.
no, no, no. God already told you to do it. Just do it. You know what I mean? I
Hmm.
really like I try just to listen to my intuition because I know that's like God saying, all right, Haley, this is the direction versus like always questioning it.
Yeah.
So I like to take action pretty fast, but there are moments where, like this Christmas, where I just before I made big decisions in the direction, I just wanted to kind of like refresh myself and like understand what is it that I truly want and kind of
Hmm.
go from there
Yeah.
instead of just like doing what everybody else is doing.
Yeah. Which is so easy to fall prey to because there's so many. so many people that we look up to and admire, and they're like,
Yeah,
this is how to be successful. This is how to get to that next level. And then if it doesn't sit well with what you're doing at the moment, like I know we've both been hearing a lot about like just keep hustling throughout the year. And you came to Christmas time and you were like, you guys, I just feel like I need a break. And I
yeah,
need
I
to
just
like,
wanna sit.
yeah,
I don't wanna do anything. I just want to be.
yeah.
And I
And
think go ahead.
no, go ahead. You could,
I think that more people need to just be still
yeah.
because I think, oh, who talks about it? What's the No BS guy? No BS business book. What's his name? I don't have the book down here, but he taught James Wedmore. Is that his name? He talks
Maybe.
about business porn and how we can get so caught up in it. Like even the people we look up to or who we admire, even our coaches sometimes, but we have to truly understand, okay, what is our owner's intent? What do we really want and make
Yeah.
decisions from that place? And what I really want is 80% family time, 20% business.
Mm,
And so it just didn't add up for me to hustle at the end of the year. When my kids are at home, my husband took off. I had to be with what I really want to do, my owner's intent, and that is 80% of my time with my family, 20% in my business. And
mm.
that's why I canceled my like in December, I canceled my 5-day challenge because I was like, this isn't go with my owner's intent. Like I don't
No.
be on call on Zoom for 10 hours that week. Like that doesn't make sense. That's taking time away from my family. I want to do it in a different way. And so that's what I'm working on now is like, what does that look like? So, I think a lot of people need to ask themselves, like, what do I really want? What is my intent with my business? Why am I actually creating it? And go from there instead of just doing what everybody else does. Because then you probably won't even stand out because you're
Yeah.
doing what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
It's okay.
I hadn't thought about that in that context
Yeah.
of like being still, listening to yourself, but also like how when you are still and you listen to yourself and you're clear on what you want and what your intention is, that it does make you stand out.
It does. It does. I think that it like when you're when you can see yourself, then you can be yourself. That sounds so cheesy because I feel like
True.
we are constantly in scrolling, right? Like,
Yeah.
okay, what am I gonna make my reel about today? Like we're trying to get inspiration, we're doing this and that. And I know in the past it would cause me anxiety because I I couldn't listen to myself. I couldn't hear my own story, my own voice because I was constantly consuming. Where I finally had to take a step back and like unfollow people that were in my industry and just like, what does Haley have to say? Where
Mm,
does my story sit with people? Because I think anybody wants to buy from you. People are searching for you always. You're
yeah.
an answered prayer to someone, but you have to be able to be still and listen to like what you need to say, who you need to like provide for, who you need to serve. And the only way to do that is like kind of taking a step back and like seeing from a bird's eye view and seeing yourself and what you truly want to do and how you want to build your business and what you need to say instead of just consuming, consuming, consuming all the time. It just
Yeah.
story almost becomes not your story anymore if you do that, you know?
Yep. You're just living somebody else's
Yeah.
and
And I
it
don't
never
want
feels as good
it
ever.
doesn't. It doesn't. You still feel empty and you're like, why do I not feel fulfilled? Because it's not your story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm, that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Haley, is there any last thing that you want to make sure that entrepreneurs know?
I think I just want women to know that they can do anything they want to do. And I think I want this to like be their permission slip because I know we talked about it is like even if you are in a job you love, your priorities have changed and you just like want to do something to be at home with your kids or maybe you just want to buy Lululemon without hesitation because that's what you want to spend your money on and you just want a little extra or you want to create a full-fledged business and step into your CEO era. It doesn't matter what you want to do, you just have to take the next step forward. And I mean, Sarah, you've turned your skills, you've monetized them. I've monetized my skills. Anyone can monetize their skills and gifts. And I truly feel and know that God gives you desires so that you can create movement with them. And
Mhm.
so just to like really tune into those desires and ask yourself, what is it that I want? And just start and just go and figure out what you love to do and make a business from it and just take the leap to do it because you are the only person that could make any change in your life. You can pray about it and pray about it and pray about it, but God asks you to take action and you just have to take action and to trust that that's where He wants you to go.
Yeah.
That's it.
Mm. Amen. That's
Amen. Hallelujah.
beautiful.
Praise the Lord.
That's right. That's so good. And such an empowering message
Thank you.
because you don't have to be somebody else.
No. Yeah.
Like
What's
you
that song?
can,
I don't want to be anybody else.
yeah. Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't have to. And
Yeah.
you can be successful. You can build a wealthy life that is abundant right now.
Right now. You can be a wealthy girl right now. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Thanks, Haley. Can you tell everybody where they can find you?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram at Haley Van Henderson, V as in Victor, ANN. A lot of people think it's like Ban. I don't know why. You can go to haleyhenderson.com for my website. And my agency is VA Girl, or on Instagram, it's at the VA Girlies Agency. So you can find me in those places.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Haley. I know that what you've said is going to impact the listeners because I'm just like, I got to think over this stuff. So much good stuff. Thank you so
Uh,
much.
yeah, it was fun. Thank you, Sarah. I really appreciate it. It was an honor.